Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
That's for the bus you left me chasing, you miserable coward.
That summer I turned 22 was supposed to be like any other. Working at my dad's hardware store for crap pay, living at home because college wasn't practical according to banks, and being the eternal punching bag for my golden child brother Alan. We weren't poor exactly, but we sure as hell weren't Disney vacation people. So when Banks announced a family road trip to my uncle's wedding in Colorado, I should have known something was up. 3 days into that nightmare, I was already regretting not staying home. Dad and Alan had been taking turns making Salvador's life hell. Mom would occasionally say, "That's enough," in that weak voice, but we all knew it was just for show. Banks wasn't just your standard a-hole dad. He was the type who'd wake you up at 3 a.m. to yell about forgotten chores, who'd throw away your stuff if it was in his way, who'd been telling me I was worthless since I could understand words. Alan learned quick. Either be dad's mini-me or become like me. Guess which path he chose. That morning we stopped at some nowhere rest area in Colorado. Middle of absolutely nothing, for miles. Just fields, mountains, and a sad bathroom building with vending machines. I'd been sleeping in the back of our Suburban and needed to stretch my legs. Dad and Alan were laughing while Mom checked her makeup. I remember exactly what I was wearing. Faded Metallica t-shirt, jeans with a hole in one knee, beat-up Vans. I didn't take my phone because it was charging. Didn't take my wallet because why would I? We were in the middle of nowhere and I was just taking a leak. 10 minutes. That's how long I was in that bathroom. When I walked out, squinting in the Colorado sunshine, the parking spot was empty. Our dark green Suburban was gone. At first I thought they'd moved it, playing some stupid prank. I walked around the entire rest area. Nothing. That's the thing about betrayal from your own blood. It hits different. I waited an hour sitting on the curb, telling myself they were just trying to scare me. After hour 2, I started to get that cold feeling in my gut. They weren't coming back. My first instinct was to borrow someone's phone and call them, beg them to come get me. But as I was about to approach a mom with 2 kids, something stopped me. A lifetime of memories flashed through my head. Every humiliation, every time they'd laughed at my expense, every joke that was really just cruelty with a punchline. I could almost hear them. Alan's voice. "Dude, I bet he's crying right now." My mom's weak protest that didn't actually change anything. So I made a decision. I approached that mom and asked to use her phone, but I didn't call my family. I called information and got the number for the nearest shelter in Grand Junction, about 40 miles away. Asked if she could give me a ride into town, told her my family had an emergency but were sending someone for me later. That first night at the shelter was a reality check. I had nothing but the clothes on my back. No ID, no money, no contacts. The shelter guy, Dave, let me use their computer. I thought maybe I could get to the wedding, find my family there. But then I sat staring at the screen and thought, why? Why chase after people who literally abandoned me on the side of the road for laughs? Instead, I created a new email account, looked up resources for emergency ID replacement, Googled jobs that pay cash. I made a plan. 2 days later, I was washing dishes at this little diner called Sonny's. The owner, Geraldine, was this 60-something woman with purple-streaked gray hair and more tattoos than you'd expect. I told her my wallet was stolen, but I needed work. She sized me up and said, "Dishwasher quit yesterday. You steal from me, you're dead. Start now." That's the thing about rock bottom. You can only go up. For a week, I worked doubles, slept at the shelter, wore donated clothes. Dave helped me get a replacement ID. I set up a cheap pay-as-you-go phone with my first cash. 7 days after they abandoned me, my phone rang. Unknown number. It was my mother, voice shaking. Where was I? Was I okay? They'd been looking everywhere. It was just supposed to be a joke. Double BS. They waited down the road for 20 minutes, came back and couldn't find me. Triple damn BS. I listened to her panic, her fake concern. In the background, I could hear my dad saying to tell me to stop being dramatic and get my A to Uncle Rick's. I heard Alan laughing. Salvador, are you there? Say something. We've been worried sick. That cold feeling in my gut was gone. There was just clarity. You wanted to see if I could make it on my own? I said, my voice steadier than it had ever been when talking to them. So watch me. I hung up, blocked the number, changed my number completely the next day. 27 missed calls before I did. A month later, I had my own studio apartment above a laundromat. Tiny and smelled like fabric softener, but it was mine. I worked my way up to prep cook at Sonny's. Sometimes I'd check my old email. Messages piled up from Mom, please come home. From Dad, this childish stunt needs to end. From Alan, it was just a joke, stop being such a coward. I never responded. 3 months after they left me at that rest stop, I checked my email one last time. New message from Mom. Your grandmother is asking about you. Please just let us know you're alive. I closed the email, deleted the account, threw my old SIM card in the dumpster. That night, Geraldine taught me how to make her famous apple pie. Said I had good hands for pastry. First genuine compliment I could remember getting in years. 5 years later, I'd built something resembling a life. My studio became a one-bedroom with actual windows. I'd worked up to assistant manager at Sonny's. Got a laptop, took online classes, business management, basic accounting. The stuff banks always said was for people who can't do real work. That changed when Kendra started coming into Sonny's every Tuesday and Thursday. Med school student, always ordered Denver omelet, no tomatoes, extra coffee. Always sat at the counter with a textbook, completely zoning out while studying. 4 months of me bringing coffee refills before she actually looked up and saw me. Really saw me. Our first date wasn't even supposed to be a date. Her study group bailed. She had a reservation at this impossible-to-get-into pizza place, and I happened to be wiping down the counter when she got the cancellation text. 6 months later, she moved into my apartment. A year after that, we got a bigger place together. I kept tabs on my family through fake accounts. Dad's hardware store struggling after Home Depot opened. Mom's social media became this weird shrine to family. Constant throwback pictures, posts about missing her boys, plural, which was rich since she'd tag Alan but never mentioned me. Alan bounced from job to job, vague posting about haters and new opportunities. 3 years in, Geraldine asked if I'd be interested in running a second location. I didn't sleep that night, kept thinking it was some kind of test. People like me didn't get opportunities like that. But I said yes because Kendra told me I'd be stupid not to, and because Geraldine had never once made me feel worthless. Sonny's East opened 6 months later. I worked 90-hour weeks that first year, lost weight I couldn't afford to lose, fought with Kendra about never being home. But it worked. 4 years after being abandoned, I made enough to help Kendra with her med school loans. She cried when I showed her the payment confirmation. Real crying, not movie crying. I'd never felt more like a real person. Then my grandmother died. Found out through Facebook, Mom posted this long dramatic tribute. Grandma Rose had been the only one who ever stood up to banks, the only one who seemed to see me. She used to slip me $20 bills, tell me to save it for my escape. I thought she meant college. Turns out it was more literal. I thought about going to the funeral, even looked up flights. Kendra offered to come with me. I didn't go. Instead, I sent flowers. Generic sympathy arrangement signed Salvador with no return address, just my name. The explosion on social media was immediate. Mom posting about signs, Alan making cryptic comments about prodigal sons. 15 years later, my carefully constructed life had a glitch. Someone had viewed my LinkedIn profile 27 times in one day. Alan Matthews, my brother. By then, Kendra had finished med school and worked at a local clinic. We had 2 kids, Ellie, 7, and Marcus, 4. The apartment above the laundromat had become a modest 4-bedroom house with a yard. Sonny's had expanded to 3 locations. 3 days after the LinkedIn thing, I was at Sonny's East when Maya called back that there was family asking for me. I headed out front, thinking it was Kendra's parents. It wasn't. Banks looked older, grayer, his formerly imposing frame somehow shrunken. Irene had that pinched look from years of worrying. Alan looked like Banks had at 40. Same stance, same way of taking up space. There was a young woman with them, Alan's second wife, Poppy. They'd found me through a magazine article. Rocky Mountain Rising, 10 local success stories. Just a sidebar with my photo in front of Sonny's. But one of Mom's friends had moved to Colorado, seen it, and sent it to her. 107 missed calls. That's how many they'd made to my old number over the years. Mom had kept count. They talked over each other. Mom about how worried they'd been. Banks about how I'd misunderstood what happened. Alan awkwardly trying to act like we were old buddies. Finally, I asked the only question that mattered. Why now? That's when the real story came out. Banks had medical bills, heart problems, no insurance. The house was being foreclosed on. Alan's cryptocurrency business had failed spectacularly. Mom needed knee surgery she couldn't afford. They weren't there for reconciliation. They were there for money. $20,000, just a loan, of course. I invited them to dinner that night, said I needed to think. That afternoon was surreal. Picking up Ellie from dance class, helping Marcus with show and tell, all while texting Kendra updates. Dinner was chicken enchiladas. Ellie set the table. Marcus wore his Spider-Man costume because Tuesday was Spider-Man Day. After dinner, Kendra took the kids upstairs. Then it was just me and them in a living room that suddenly felt too small. Banks started the pitch. How family sticks together, how we'd always known I'd make something of myself, lie, how they just needed a little help. I let him finish. Then I asked him if he remembered what he said to me on my 18th birthday. At least you can't disappoint me anymore, once you're not legally my problem. I asked Mom if she remembered what she did when Banks threw my acceptance letter to Community College in the trash. Nothing. She'd done nothing. I went to my office, came back with an envelope, handed it to Banks. Inside was a check for $73.50. Banks looked confused. I told him that in 2010, that was exactly what a Greyhound ticket from Grand Junction to our hometown would have cost. The exact amount it would have taken for me to make it back home from where they abandoned me. The silence was deafening. Then Banks started shouting, called me ungrateful, selfish, said I'd always been a disappointment. The greatest hits album of my childhood playing one last time. I didn't argue, just stood up and told them it was time to leave. Mom tried tears and guilt. Alan went cold. The mask completely dropped. When they finally left, Banks crumpling the check and throwing it on our front step, I closed the door and leaned against it. I've never seen or heard from them again. Don't expect to. That's the thing about revenge. The best kind isn't something you do, it's something you live. Every happy moment with my kids, every inside joke with Kendra, every quiet Sunday morning with nothing to fear. Every single ordinary day in a life built on my terms. I never made it back home. I did something better. I built one.